So, I took your advice and I watched Rick and Morty. But now this happens.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, show us what you got! Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so that you, my friends, can watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want, even if that's cable. We're not going to judge. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, man, I'm Brian Brushwood, and we have started a revolution. We're apparently proselytizers for the good word. Have you heard about the good Morty?
Have you accepted Rick and Morty as your personal Doctor Who substitute on Comedy Central?
What's funny is that we are Cartoon Network. Come on.
Whatever.
Get it right.
I don't know. I don't know networks anymore, man. I got rid of DirecTV.
Fair enough. It's amazing how many people in the chat just before we started said that they had previously tried to watch the first episode of Rick and Morty, gave it up, but we won't shut up about it, and so they're going back to give it a try. And then somebody confessed they watched 9 episodes last night straight through in a row.
You know who we have on the show today, Brian?
We've got
champions.
Yes. No, nothing but winners.
Campeones,
Look,
as they say.
Here's the thing. We win so hard, sometimes we want to outsource the winning to other members of the team. That's what we graciously decided to do with Team Cordkillers in the summer movie draft.
Yeah, and that's why we let... No, I can't even do it. Like, Malongo and Christy Cates kicked all of our asses.
Yeah, congratulations, Team Cordkillers. Malongo and Christy Cates were here on the line. Congratulations, folks. How's it feel?
I feel good. I feel like I've accomplished something.
I feel surprised, actually.
Something absolutely astonishing happened during this year's movie draft in that you guys nabbed Jurassic World for what, like $60 or $45 or something ridiculous?
40.
And it was not until the last week or two of the entire run that there was even a single slate that beat just that one movie. Did you guys know for a fact that Jurassic World was going to be the mega...
42. They spent
$42. Like, did you know, or you just thought, it might be a sci-fi original,
we planned ahead. We knew the whole time.
Yes, we did plan ahead, but we had no idea what movie.
Yeah.
Well, my whole strategy was try and get like these B+ rated type movies and hope that I got enough of them, or that we got enough of them that they could overtake Avengers 2.
Wow, that's funny. That was my plan. And I thought, they're spending so much on Jurassic World. Ha, ha, ha. I'll have so much left to buy all the movies.
And I'll buy so many movies that Brian and Justin will get angry and say that I broke the game. And I'll quietly suggest that maybe I don't have the best slate in the world and maybe I won't win. And then I'll be right. But by that time, nobody will care.
And it won't feel good.
The best part of it is you can still get surprised. There are a bunch of movies that Tom got that I wanted to get, and they didn't do as well as I thought they would.
That's the thing. You never actually know for sure. That's all I was saying, because I was like, yeah, mathematically, it looks like Team DTNS should win. I'm like, but you never know. Things don't always go the way we expect, especially in the movie world, and you guys are testament to that.
Man, all I want to do is pour over the tea leaves, but I feel like we got to move forward and
he
jump
literally
into
has
our
tea leaves,
primary targets.
Not kidding. Tea leaves. Hey, Primary Target is a couple weeks old, I know, but we didn't have a show last week because of the Labor Day holiday and Dragon Con travel. Hulu launched a commercial-free tier for $12 a month, knowing we weren't going to have a show. Really cool, Hulu. Thanks a lot. Now, there are some exceptions to this. You get commercial-free, all your shows, uninterrupted, except shows that Hulu doesn't have a license to show commercial-free. And those shows... I have to say they're doing a pretty good job of dealing with that. Those shows will have a commercial before and after the episode, but they will still play uninterrupted if you're paying for this extra tier. They're mostly ABC and Fox shows: Grey's Anatomy, Once Upon a Time, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Scandal, Grimm, New Girl, and How to Get Away with Murder. The shows that you authenticate to watch. So Hulu has this thing: if you pay for cable and you authenticate through Hulu with your cable provider, you can watch more shows than Hulu would normally have. Those extra shows will have commercials because they don't control that, so that's a little confusing too. But mostly, I mean, what do you guys think? It's a pretty good deal. $12 a month. It's a little more expensive than Netflix, but
to be honest, it's in the same ballpark. It might as well be exactly the same cost as Netflix.
Well, there's $9 and $12.
Well, I know, but to me,
one's $3.
They're the same. No, they're $2 more. It's close enough. It's a cup of coffee away.
$3.
All right. Fine. So
do the math, Brian.
Here's the important part for me is that not only is Hulu doing what everybody wanted all this time, but they knew that they ate a big bag of manure on this. They sent out an email to everyone who had previously canceled, and as a matter of fact, Allison Sheridan was nice enough to send that over to us. Do we have a copy of that? It says, "Thank you for canceling," and they basically say, "You showed us tough love. We heard you loud and clear. Clearly, you wanted no commercials," and then they were cute about it. They said it was like a '90s sitcom, very special moment, and now we're going to give you what you want exactly. And I think they're handling it extremely well. What about you, Malengo?
Hulu. We've been complaining about this for years.
Is it too late? Do you like?
No,
Are you not interested?
so-
Are you going to?
You guys actually answered one of the questions that I wasn't sure about. Is if you did not have a TV subscription, could you still watch shows like Grey's Anatomy and whatnot? And it seems like you can, but I'm still kind of murky on that.
Well,
I don't need a television subscription,
mostly
right?
with channels like Fox, what they do is say, you can't watch these for 8 days on these particular shows unless you authenticate with your cable provider, and then you can watch them the next day. But when you do that, you'll be watching with commercials until they get to that 8-day period where Hulu would normally show them. But I don't authenticate with any cable provider on Hulu, and I get pretty much everything you can think of, including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Grey's Anatomy, et cetera.
What about you, Christy? Is this something you're going to jump on?
I think that the price point's really fair. I mean, I think that's good. I don't know that Hulu has anything on their lineup that I'm not already getting with Netflix, and I have Amazon Prime. So I don't feel like,
as a matter of fact,
there's
that is
anything
the
extra.
only downside, is that by waiting so long, Hulu has trained me. Hulu has forced me to figure out how to not use Hulu, and now I'm like, that's great. This is a slam dunk. I'll sign up for Hulu and watch The Prophet.
All
I
the
guess.
stuff I already watch.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I watch on
Well,
Hulu.
and there's Hulu Originals.
But
I mean, I was using it to watch The Shield, which just dropped off of Hulu, but that's going to be a problem. Things will come and go,
Right.
Especially library stuff like that. But I was watching Wayward Pines, Once Upon a Time, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Last Man on Earth. All of those were shows that I was watching on Hulu instead of recording over the air, just because I could. And now that I could watch them commercial free, it's actually an advantage over TiVo because I don't have to fast forward.
oh yeah, you
Just
don't.
watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I tell you, I hope that this is met with all the success. I mean, this is so big a step in the right direction that I hope it pays off for them. I guess because it's like,
So it sounds like Christy's positive, Brian's positive. I'm actually on the fence of whether I'm actually going to pay to get rid of the commercials. I'm not sure I care
Yeah.
that much for the extra $3. And Malongo, $3, not ducks. And Malongo, it sounds like you're like,
No, I like actually when it came out, I was kind of interested. I want to test it out, so kind of on the fence. But I kind of agree with Brian. Like, it might be a little too late. I know how to find all the shows that without using Hulu. So
but keep in mind, we're not the demographic that they're doing this for. They're trying to lure people out of the traditional. Because keep in mind, the 800-pound gorilla is still traditional live streaming either over the air cable or dish based watching of TV, appointment viewing. That is still king. But we are seeing a shift towards offline stuff. So it's like the market they're going after here. It's not the people who have already cut the cord. It's people who are thinking and talking about it, who want to be able to watch their shows. And then it's like, oh, $12 a month, and I get a Netflix-like experience, and I'll go for that. I'll watch my Grey's Anatomy and so on.
the other thing to remember is I don't know what I pay for my DVR right now, but compared to that, that's where my comparison comes to DVR or Hulu.
yeah.
Dude, and
if you,
in
don't-
that
if you haven't
regard-
done lifetime subscription, you don't have a channel master, you're paying for TiVo $15 a month. Yeah, suddenly.
And if you are, is that how much TiVo?
There's
is?
also
Like $15 a
Hulu
month?
Originals, which we haven't had one that's really compelled a lot of people yet, but that could still happen. We used to think that about Amazon.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and it only takes one slam dunk to completely pivot your perception. I remember, we kept calling Amazon Prime the RC Cola of the bunch until they had Transparent, which was so extraordinary, such high quality that it just. And of course, now I'm in love with Man in the High Castle and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, these streaming services are getting to the point where they realize, hey, you know what? It's mature. Everybody wants us. We need to give people what they want. And that's the topic of our signals intelligence segment.
Which will come up after we thank the fine people who pay to keep our show on
crap.
the
I scrolled
internet
right
waves.
past that. Wow. How ungrateful am I?
To our 2,094 patrons, our bosses who keep us loud, live, and independent so that we're able to bring you news.
That shows you the power of the people who back this show.
Yeah?
Like I teased ahead. I worked on tease for seconds in my head.
Yeah, sure.
And we couldn't move the show.
No.
Without their approval.
Absolutely.
You know?
they stood and they're like, well, you'll move when
Like
we
you'll
say
go
you
to
can
signals
move.
intelligence when we tell you.
Yeah, keep in mind, if you guys get value out of the program, maybe you're somebody who cut the cord and you're saving a few bucks, you want to kick us a few of those nickels, head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers and share a little bit with us. Let's have some value
you know
for
what?
value.
Sit down, have a conversation with your heart and say, how much value do I get out of Cordkillers?
Yeah.
And then go to patreon.com/Cordkillers and enter the amount your heart told you.
I mean, look, you're at the airport, right? You buy yourself a $9 pint of beer and think, you know what? I would buy a beer for Tom or Brian if he was here. Then just spread that out over 52 episodes in a year.
Just make sure to buy us beers from airports.
That's right.
They're more expensive. All right, now signals intelligence.
Smooth. I don't think anyone noticed.
See, what I was trying to do was show like, hey, Hulu listened, right? Everybody wanted commercial free and Hulu did it. And now everybody's like, we want offline viewing of our streaming services and Amazon has done it. And freaking Wuaki, Rakuten-owned company that's popular in Europe, they're doing the ability to download certain shows for offline viewing. And now Netflix chief product officer told Gizmodo that offering offline video options is too much choice.
Okay, now in his defense, he did. I'm sitting here reading the article, and the first part of the quote, actually, I agree with. He says that given our business model, having the ability to offer offline viewing with downloads is not a compelling proposition.
Yeah, just to be clear,
I do agree with that.
If you don't get it, what we're saying is what Amazon is doing now, and we talked about it on the show before, is if you're using Amazon for streaming, you can now select certain shows and say, hey, make these available for me offline because I'm going to be away from the internet, but I still want to watch them through Amazon. And Netflix is saying we're not going to do that. You will have to have an internet connection to watch Netflix.
Which, again, I actually think that's a smart play for them to do, because if you're Netflix, you're doing very, very well. You have your strategy. You're building your originals, your unique properties, and you are known for your streaming service. That's what they want to be known for. To make the leap to downloadable stuff, they have to go through a quagmire of redoing all of their agreements to make sure that because it's very different to say, we have streaming rights to this versus we have, distribution rights for downloadable. And all of a sudden, that's an entirely different thing. It would be an astonishing amount of work for them to do for virtually no benefit on the bottom line for them. So I completely agree with their decision. What I disagree with is the way they're trying to sell it to the public, where they're saying, we're doing you a favor because it would be too confusing for you to handle downloading your stuff.
Christy, what's your reaction to this quote? This is from Netflix chief product officer who says, one of the things I've learned is that every time you offer a choice, you paralyze some people who can't decide if that's what they want to do or not. Now, that sounds really stupid and self-serving, but it is, in fact, true.
See, that part actually kind of bothered me. I agree with Brian's logic about that it's going to be a ton of hoops to jump through to get everything to function properly, to get their agreements, to cycle through, or they're going to be allowed to do all those kind of things. But it almost sounded like pandering, like, you guys are all so dumb. We're just going to pat you on the head and say, okay, you can only pick one thing. And I don't know. It might be cool to have the option to do that. I would actually like that if Netflix would let me download things. But again, another point Brian made earlier is we may still be the minority because most people are used to traditional television and they don't care about doing that yet. So,
Milango, do you feel pandered to by Neil Hunt?
No, no, I actually like it. He can pander to me all he wants.
He's right. I get confused easily. Download or watch. Which one do I press?
Well, it's funny to me. Like, maybe tell me if you guys agree, but this feels to me like Apple versus Windows, right? Apple says, no. We keep things simple. We keep things isolated because it's easier to use. Windows says, hey, you're a grown-up. You want to have all the settings in the world? You want to registry edit? Great. We'll put that stuff. We'll make that stuff available for you. And Netflix is saying, and I think they've got a point, which is when you add too many options, you start to get tired of making choices and then you give up. And I've definitely had that experience. And I think what Christy's saying is, you know what, I can handle that much more choice.
Yeah, and what's funny is I'm trying really hard to construct a scenario where it makes it truly difficult. Like, for example, they when they license material to stream, they have windows that it's available, and then they pull it off. But it's like, even in a downloadable environment, you would just download it with instructions where it's like, unless you hear from us past this date.
To me, it's not about the technical issues and the licensing issues. I'm sure they could work out, right? They're significant, but that's not what he's saying. He's saying, look, man, for all the work that we'd have to do to make that stuff happen, it's totally possible. Then you're going to sit there and go, oh, I forgot to put that one down. Oh, when do I press the button to make it available offline? Oh, I have to plan which stuff am I going to want to watch. Oh, but I have some time. I might watch this episode, so I better make these 3 episodes available.
You know what? And I don't believe that, but this could be easily fixed if they created a special site called offline.netflix.com, where it's like, are you going on a trip? Here's some recommendations. Click this.
No, but that's the part that bothers me. I mean, am I alone here? It's like, now I got to think about what stuff do I want, which things am I watching, what am I gonna want when I'm on.
The only time you need the offline is when you're disconnected from the internet.
You
and
have to plan for what you're
advance.
going to want to watch then.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. Actually, that's a very un-Netflix, because the core of the Netflix brand is, I don't know, what should I watch?
Right.
And it's taking that out of the equation and making you plan in advance. Which, if you're going to do that, why are you even in Netflix? Just go over and do that in Amazon Prime. That's actually, okay, you sold me. You sold me. Actually, it's not as dumb as it sounded.
Do you think maybe they feel like if they do this, it kind of pulls away from what Netflix is identified with, and that's part of why they don't want to do it? Like Brian said, just like kind of flipping through and picking something as opposed to planning ahead. And Tom, I guess it sounds more like a DVR experience almost, maybe?
Yeah, and I know that's one of my problems with DVRs is that I have to put too much effort.
Well, and you're too late. You can hear about something
to say, oh, I put too much effort in my DVR.
No. Look, that's the world we live in now.
Comparative, right? Compared to other things, yeah.
Absolutely, and I don't have a problem with it. We should expect to be able to watch what we want when we want and decide at any time.
But
we can add that in
when you
there.
go back to that, Netflix is violating that. They're saying, oh, no, you can't watch what you want when you're offline.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you're not connected to the internet. It's like, you also can't fly to the moon if you want. I mean,
you could.
Fair enough.
Is there actually a scenario that maybe I just can't think of, other than like going to plan a trip, like at the airport, where you have to download?
I mean, if there is, in 5 years there won't be. I mean, in 5 years there'll be, that gap, is getting vanishingly small, where you'll be able to have, I guarantee you in 5 years there's going to be airline flights where they'll have Netflix available.
Well, and Netflix has said we would rather make the existing service work in more places. They're talking about putting Netflix servers on planes so that you wouldn't even have to use the Wi-Fi connection to the ground. You would just use the internal cabin Wi-Fi to stream.
That might be a good expense for them just from an advertising perspective, because obviously it's worth it for Dish to put that infrastructure on all of the Southwest Airlines flights. Why not? Netflix partners with Virgin America, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you never tried Netflix? Experience Netflix. Any device, just get online and watch anything you want. People will go nuts for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's gear up then, because what are we going to watch this Netflix on when we're at home?
On the plane?
No, and in our living room.
Well, too bad there's no good living room solution.
Yep. I mean, sure, there's Roku. Sure, there's Fire TV. Sure, there's Chromecast. Sure, there's Android TV. Sure, there's Xbox One and PS4. But what else
and
is
Xbox 360.
Well, what else is there, Brian?
Wii.
What else?
PS3s.
We don't have enough choices. No, a fourth generation of Apple TV was announced during the Apple announcement earlier this week. Last week. Yeah, I guess it was last week. Over 60% of pay TV streaming videos consumed on an Apple device, said Eddie Q of Apple. I didn't check his math.
He
wouldn't be lying. Right?
I mean, I believe that, but there's a little bit of what a math in there, in that he says on an Apple device, which means video being watched on all Apple computers, laptops, and desktops.
And he said pay TV streaming video, which is people authenticating.
That's right.
Not people cord cutting.
Could go all the Apple cell phones, which of course they have a dominant market share of, and all of the iPads, and oh, by the way, I guess Apple TV as well. So it's a little bit misleading to tie that in as if it's.
So here's the new Apple TV. Has a new remote control with a touchpad for gesture control. They say it's going to make it easier to rewind and fast forward. There's going to be an AirPlay button now so that you can immediately just AirPlay stuff. And there's going to be voice control with Siri. So you can say like, hey, Siri, show me comedies, and it will show you comedies. In fact, it will search across multiple apps, iTunes, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, and Showtime to begin with, but they say they will add other services, and they're adding an app store. So we should be able to see things like Vudu, maybe Amazon Video. They now don't have to go through Apple and have it added manually by Apple. There will be an SDK. There will be an app store. In fact, Apple TV started shipping to select devs today. 64-bit A8 chip, if you care about that sort of thing. Bluetooth 4 for the remote, so you don't have to have line of sight. 802.11ac MIMO infrared, as well as an Ethernet cable. 32-gigabyte version runs $149, and the 64-gigabyte runs $199, available in late October.
Okay, I have thoughts on this, but I want to jump to our guests first. Let's go with Christy first. What are your impressions when you saw all this?
I actually like it. I mean, I've got Fire Stick, I've got Roku. I felt like I was pretty well covered, but there's stuff obviously they don't do. And what I think I like the best about it is they're adding in the App Store. I think that's going to be a big bonus for people that were maybe on the fence about getting Apple TV. The price isn't bad. I'm actually thinking about getting one. I think it's a pretty cool thing to get. The App Store kind of pushed it over the edge for me.
Yeah, Malengo, what about you?
I too agree. I wanted one, and then this came out, and I was like, now I definitely want one. It also helps that I am developing a game for iOS. So once they showed the demo of the guy pulling out his iPhone and just connecting and playing with his buddy, I'm like, yep, definitely getting one.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, there's a whole gaming side of it too out of the App Store that'll be interesting to see if that catches on.
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
has tried that, right? But nobody's made it work yet.
I mean, well, that's the funny part is if you told me 5 years ago that they were going to have an Apple TV and they would add in a game section, I would roll my eyes and be like, it's not a gaming console. It's in the living room. It doesn't matter. But we're in a very different position in that, iOS gaming is a legit thing. It's a legitimate branch of the tree of games. And if you can play it on a bigger screen with the whole family, I mean, I'll tell you right now that my kids are going to play the hell out of Crossy Road on this thing. And they're going to enjoy it every bit as much as any $60 premium PS4 title that we might pick up. Out of everything. I mean, everything's like, that's nice. Oh, that's improved. Yes, it's good to bring in a marketplace. When I tuned in just for the part where they were talking about Siri and the cross platform searches. Granted, there's a lot of things we don't have. We don't have any kind of over-the-air antenna. There's no DVR capacity. We currently don't have Amazon Prime or whatever. But this is astonishingly close to what I've been begging for. What I call this.
Wait, I was curious. Didn't Eddie Q say, and for Brian Brushwood, we've added voice search?
Yes, the ability to not know what platform it's on, to just talk to your concierge and say, "Bring me the thing with the thing." No, I want that version. I am cautiously optimistic. You know that I tend to look like where's the vig? Where's the scam on this? But if it's anything like my experience with Siri, I use the hell out of Siri as a mobile device, and if it's just in my living room and it's able to find me that stuff, and I'm able to just say easily like, yeah, no, buy that episode, and then and get it ready, and then if I can even set reminders and say, hey, remind me at 7:00, set an alarm,
Is
and all this
there a new
stuff.
Top Chef?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If I can have a conversation with Siri and talk about the content that I like and add stuff to various watch lists and stuff,
Wait a
I'm
minute.
so in.
You want to have a conversation with her?
Oh, dude,
Like,
it's getting better and better.
do you think
wanna
Chef
talk to
Kate's
robots.
going to win, Siri?
Well, and what's funny is like in the middle of it, I'm sure if it's not already implemented, in the middle of it, it's like pause. Where have I seen this guy before?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it just
It
calls
can do
all that
stuff
stuff
like that.
Yeah,
Or what did she
Very
just
cool.
say? And
it skips backwards. These are all the natural language functions that I want, in the ability to not have to open a menu to do things like, oh, hey, turn on, hey Siri, turn on closed captioning from now on, and then it automatically comes on. I can be dumb and get exactly what I want, and I could not be happier. I am so cautiously optimistic that I'm not saying this is the panacea. I'm not saying it's going to be what I'm wishing for, but I'm telling you this is the biggest leap in that direction that I've ever seen promised. And so we'll see what the reality is. It's got a beefy processor too, which is nice.
And it kind of reminds me of, is it called Echo or Alexa? The Amazon, the round
Amazon Echo,
cylinder.
whose
Yeah, it reminds me of
personality is
that,
usually
but-
Alexa.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it reminds me of that, but hooked up to your entertainment center. So,
Well,
like
and I'll
Brian
tell you
said,
what,
you can
this
find
is my-
shows
this is
through
my
it and that
kids.
sort of thing.
this could be the end of me having to hunt for PS4 remotes, and even my my 7-year-old still insists on having me set her up with Netflix, and then once I get it loaded, she'll bother to do stuff on her own. But I have a 2-year-old who's speaking in complete sentences. She's a few months from turning 3. I think that she will very quickly be able to, maybe in the next year, grab the remote and say, "Show me Clifford, the big red dog."
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. When she says, buy everything from Nickelodeon. There you go.
Oh yeah, because there's going to be a guilt app. There's going to be a shopping app for Nickelodeon. That's a great call, Milango.
Oh man,
Oh,
you're
Because they're
gosh.
going to be apps.
You're in trouble,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I guess the big question is how quickly
Buy all the diamonds.
we'll see how quickly Amazon decides to, build their app on there. I mean, I'm very happy. I've settled into the habit of buying stuff from Amazon. I like their marketplace quite a bit, and their player's pretty good. I like the whole UI, and if they can bring that to me is the end all be all. Just get Amazon on there. And I know you were saying, Tom, that you buy a lot of stuff on Vudu as your preferred neighborhood, right?
Yeah, because it's a member of Ultraviolet and Disney Movies Anywhere at the same time. That's why I prefer that. So I would like to see that come to Apple TV. We'll see how this App Store
do you
thing
think-
works. Remember that they're not going to have WebView in there, so a lot of people are going to have to do some work if they've been relying on the internal web browser in iOS to carry some of the load. They're going to have to rejigger their apps. For video makers, though, I think it's a no-brainer to do it as long as they want to be in the ecosystem. Amazon sometimes doesn't for various reasons, competitive reasons. But I think Vudu will go in there. I think we'll see a lot of people.
What do you think about, let's say that Sling TV has an app on this?
Yeah.
The moment Sling comes to this, it's all over. If you're able to, search Sling for when this episode comes on, and you can enable.
There's a
through the
difference
API.
between being in the App Store and being in the search, right?
That's true.
So Apple's still gatekeeping that. They can let Amazon, Vudu, and Sling all day long, but they might not end up being the search. That's always the downfall of these searches, is like the one thing I want to make sure is included isn't ever included.
Well, and there's
always
really-
one thing missing is what I'm trying
There's not much of a profit motive for Apple to integrate that search in there, because they want to be able to say, yes, everything's on there, but they don't need to. It's not really a boon for them to include them in the search.
Well, that's always the problem with Google, Amazon, but it's less of a problem with Apple because they make more of their money on hardware.
Yeah.
They're not as worried about making money off of selling TV shows and movies. They see that as a way to get people to buy their hardware.
Well, and you were kind of beefing on their 30% take on everything, how they really have to let that go and allow
Well,
people to run
Amazon
their-
is beefing on that,
Yeah.
right? And then that is a whole that's a whole show right there. That's a whole separate topic about the fact that Amazon won't let you purchase anything through their iOS apps because they have to give 30% to Apple, and Apple has rules that say, oh, if you're selling physical goods, it's fine, but if you're selling digital goods, you have to give us 30%. I mean, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah. So real quick, talking about purchasing, did you mention when this is planning to be available?
I did, yeah. You weren't listening?
No. Look, I tune out a lot.
You see what I have to deal with, Malango?
October, right?
Yeah, they haven't given us a direct date yet. Late October, $149 for 32 gigs, $199 for 64 gigs. Are you going to buy one, Malango?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really like this close to yes. There's nothing really holding me back. I like the price point too. Do you guys think the price though was? I mean, I guess it fits because it's something new, but it's going from 69 to 149, and then
Yeah, I mean, it's
64
basically the storage, right? You
Yeah.
did basically had enough storage for caching before. Now with an app store, they have to give you a hard drive. That's the difference.
Can I tell you something weird? I actually am more interested in. I believe in the product more because they're charging so much more for it. If they'd come out and they're like, now it's super awesome for $70, I was like, nah, I don't believe you. But by charging,
You
more-
should unlearn that psychological
I know.
that they're pulling on you.
So, Christy, are you in or out?
I think I might get one. Yeah, I think I'm about where Malongo is. I think I might get one as well.
I think I would be where you guys are if I didn't host a show called Cordkillers with Tom. And
I know.
that makes it a slam dunk.
Exactly.
I'm totally getting one the moment
I
it comes
don't
out.
know if I would get one if I didn't host the show. It's hard to say, honestly, but I am not blown away by it. I would be holding back to see what apps come and how well the Siri works before I would drop my $149 or $199 into it. I will get one because for the show, I'm going to want to try it out and evaluate it and talk about it. But yeah, my advice to people would be like, hold off, don't get one right in October.
Yeah, wait until we let us
spend
crazy your money.
Cordkillers people here.
Let us spend your money
and Christy and Brian and myself mess around
Test
with
drive.
it. Yeah.
I'll
By the way,
definitely have insight on the gaming stuff too, because I know my programmer is definitely going to get it for development.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I actually worry about the gaming thing because all I could picture is my kids' candy-covered hands leaving thumbprints all over the remote.
You're going to buy
I'm
an
gonna
extra
pick it
remote
up.
right
Yeah,
away.
No,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it at the top of a ladder that the kids are never allowed to touch.
Or you can buy a controller. They're going to have they're going to have like game controllers.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll give that to the kids.
I bet. Plex is going to make it, by the way, for you Plex fans. They've already said we're making an app, and VLC Media Player said they're making an app.
Oh,
Obviously, won't have DVD playing, but
Yeah, but you'll be able to stream
yeah.
if they have VLC. You'll be able to stream Cordkillers to an Apple TV.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah. All right. Listen, folks. When Brian said he sometimes thinks things are a scam, it's because he knows scams. In fact, he's built an entire academy on scams and put it in book form.
Yeah. So a while back, some of you guys know that we made we wrote 2 books in ebook format, and the first one got published, and the second one just dropped. It's been kind of rejiggered for book format. It's got like 160 plus. Well, first of all, if you don't know, Scam School is a show where we teach you how to score free drinks by doing magic and trickery. So we've collected 90 little scams and tricks that you could pull on your friends, put them all in this book published by Skyhorse Publishing. And throughout the whole thing, there's over 160 QR codes so that you're able to get links to audio commentary tracks. You're able to link to video illustrations. The fantastic work from Brant Hughes and John Tilton on the illustrations. It's an amazing little book. It's my favorite book that I've written, and I'm so incredibly proud of it. Over 300 pages of the best bar tricks and scams for you to pull on your friend. As we are recording this, we have like 70 of them left of the first 500, and each of the first 500 I signed and numbered individually. So once those are gone, they're going to be a collector's item, so you'll never be able to get them again. And outside of that, man, it's a really good book. I'm really proud of it.
Does it have cheats?
It's got cheats.
Does it have cons?
Yep.
Swivels?
Yep. Tricks? Yep. All of the above. And it's available right now at scamstuff.com. Or, get this, one of my favorite things is I offhandedly say, or go to your local bookstore, and then somebody did that. Took a picture of it on the shelf.
And it was actually there.
Yeah. Yeah. He went to the local Barnes & Noble and grabbed it right there at the store, which I thought was rad.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. It is time now to hit the front lines, ladies and gentlemen.
Front lines!
Disney announced that Amazon and Microsoft have joined Disney Movies Anywhere. That means Disney movies purchased from Amazon or purchased from Microsoft, like through the Xbox, will be available on any other Disney Movies Anywhere service and vice versa. Right now, Vudu, Google, and Apple are among the people part of that system. So if I buy a Disney movie on Xbox, it will now show up on my Apple TV. And if I buy a Disney movie through iTunes, it will show up on Xbox.
So do you think this is the beginning of a movement? We'll go with Malango on this. Do you think this is the beginning of like the first domino falling and everybody starts to make their content available on all platforms once you buy it?
Yes, and I love it. Although I do not see PlayStation here, so Sony, what's going on?
Yeah, Sony's weird like that. What about you, Christy? Are you optimistic?
Yeah, I actually like it. I always kind of get annoyed by redundancy when you buy something and then you go to watch it on some other device and you can't watch it because you bought it over there and now you have to buy it over here. And I think it's kind of cool that they're doing that, where they're going to link them all together. Good idea.
Yeah, and Ultraviolet does it for a lot of the other studios.
Right.
So you can do this. It's just not aligned where every service has it for every studio yet.
Yeah.
Hey, man, a Flurry app analytics report says the average U.S. consumer spends 198 minutes a day in apps versus 168 minutes a day watching TV, and that doesn't count the browser as an app, which to me that's huge. Like I spend twice both of those put together on an. That's probably more time in the day on in a browser.
I spend 48 hours a day in a browser.
TV minutes have remained steady while app minutes have been growing year over year. That makes sense though, because I think that there's a certain expectation of TV watching that we all have, whereas meanwhile apps have unlocked an unbelievable amount of what was previously idle time on the subway or waiting for your kids to get picked up or whatever. Does this surprise either of you guys, Christy, Malango?
Does this include apps that are apps on things like Roku, or they just mean apps solely on your portable device?
They're mostly meaning on portable devices.
Portable devices. Yeah, I guess I'm
my
not
guess
surprised.
is that Malango is probably hip to this, considering he's writing an app.
Yeah.
Well,
I assume that reason.
my wife hates it whenever we're watching anything on Food Network, and I'm playing a game on my app while I sit there and actively.
Well, that's interesting.
participate.
It's double dipping.
I've noticed that when we're actually eating food, my wife is playing on an app. So
That's interesting.
yeah, it happens a lot. And Fleury talked about the fact that there's a lot of overlap. People will use apps and be watching TV in the background at the same time. TiVo subscriptions rose 26% in Q2, though we don't know how much is from cable and satellite customers and how much from over the air. Company says it expects continued growth from cable and retail. So it's hopeful on all fronts. Also, Android users can now download TiVo recordings for offline viewing if they have the right device, either a TiVo Stream or one of the TiVo Romeos that has the TiVo Stream service built into it.
That is an astonishing jump. Did they say to what they credit it?
No, that's why. Yeah, no.
That's so. And did that have an effect on the stock price? I forgot to check before we went live.
I don't know. I don't
Who
care.
cares? Yeah.
Like,
Right.
so people always quote that, and the stock price jumped.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, for all kinds of reasons. The stock market might have been up that day.
All right, well,
Like,
let's speculate
Reuters
wildly
says
on what it is. I'm going to say it's the beginning of a cord-cutting revolution. What do you say, Malango?
I mean, it has to be, but I don't know who has it. Who has a TiVo anymore? I don't.
I see
do.
a raised hand. Tom Merritt.
I have one. Like
What do you think is the cause, Tom?
I think it is more over-the-air users are buying TiVos, but I also think that TiVo is finally getting the payoff from years of hammering to get back into cable television and getting DirecTV to offer a TiVo. So I think they're getting a little benefit from both sides. I don't think it's one or the other.
All right, Christy, round us out.
Do you think that TiVo is kind of for people who are maybe less tech friendly or maybe older people, and perhaps that's why? Because now that they're kind of hearing about the cord cutting
It's a
revolution, they want to jump in, and
20-year-old
that's a
brand
friendly way to
now.
do so.
Yeah, TiVo is an almost 20-year-old brand now,
Yeah.
so it would make sense that that as cord killing creeps into the mainstream, the older crowd would just watch stuff over the air.
No, I think, Christy, I think you nailed it. I think it's both ends, right? On the over-the-air end, it's the savvy people. And on the cable end, it's the people who are like, oh, this TiVo thing, I've been hearing about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom, did you buy the lifetime, whatever that is, the
Yeah.
lifetime membership? Okay.
I did.
Hey, man, if you want to know whether or not you have time to binge all the episodes of Dragon Ball Z, well, if you have 5.2 days available, you can.
How do you know that, Brian?
You will die. I know this because we went to bingeclock.com. That's BINGECLOCK.com. The service can calculate how much to binge on shows with commercials, without commercials, and with skipping the intro sequence and credits at the end. So let's say if you only wanted to watch just the meat of all the Dragon Ball Z or the Breaking Bad, and you just want to, how long does, what's it say? Breaking Bad says 45.5 hours without the commercials. Without the credits, it is 44.4. So you could save a whole hour if you don't watch the credit sequences.
I won't be doing anything for 5.3 days because I'm going to binge watch Star Trek Voyager.
Including eating or sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. I'll see you guys on Friday.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you guys care about this? Like, does that factor into whether or not? Because the first thing I did was I looked up Fringe, and Fringe was like 4.5 days, and I'm like, see, Fringe people, this is why I don't stick around for Fringe.
Right, but if it was The Shield, you wouldn't care if it was
Well,
4.5 days.
fair enough. Like, does that factor in for you guys?
Well, the funny thing about Dragon Ball Z is I don't think it factors in like the repetitiveness. Like, there's so much stuff that they like recycle. That was like the big joke with Dragon Ball Z, that you could watch like a whole week and only get like 3 minutes of actual content.
Would you do it? Would you use this for other binging though?
No, I just binge anyway, so
Yeah, you don't care. It's
I think it would
not to
depress
know,
me
I
to
think.
see
I think
how long.
I find it interesting that we're at such a point where now someone's actually developed something to show us how to lounge around and watch shows as much as humanly possible. This is how you can do it.
Yeah.
That part's entertaining.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually to help you lounge around less, so you know, like the
It's an
this
awareness.
is the meat,
Yeah.
trim out all the fat.
All right. Hey, South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. Netflix says it's launching in your countries in early 2016. So don't say we didn't warn you.
Dun 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 dun.
Wah, and that's the end of Frontlines. Let's move on to Under Surveillance.
Oh, we threw him for a loop.
Yeah.
He wasn't
Under
ready. It was
Surveillance
fast.
is
There goes his full
ready.
minute.
There it is. All right, we got some Netflix, we got some Amazon, we got some NASA. Radio Times says Netflix has struck a deal with Charlie Brooker. Brooker, I'll put an R in there for you, Mr. Brooker, to fund additional episodes of Black Mirror. I'm just going to drop an R out of there. Channel 4, which aired the first 2 runs of episodes, is said to have a first look deal on new episodes. I couldn't get his name right because it's freaking Black Mirror.
Dude, it's pretty exciting. So I guess that means it shows up as technically a Netflix original. Is that correct? They're going to, I assume, if they're the ones paying for it.
This is a rumor. So
Yeah.
you're asking a question about the signed deal.
Okay, so
which
when's the
could
release
go
date?
anyway.
So how many episodes?
tomorrow.
Okay, good.
16 new episodes.
Malengo, Katie, you guys, or Christy, you guys have watched Black Mirror, right?
Yep.
I actually still have not seen the Christmas
No,
special.
Christy, you haven't seen it?
Oh,
No, I've not.
Christy, you are not prepared. Yeah, that's your assignment. Before you come
Okay.
back,
have
you
to
have
get
to
through
watch.
episode 1.
Oh, jeez.
Is
Yeah,
this-
no.
Make me want to watch it. Why do I want to watch this show? I haven't
You know what?
seen the show
Don't
at all.
know a single thing going into it. Just go and watch the first episode.
Or watch the
Okay.
second episode first.
Yeah.
They're not a series.
In fact,
Yeah.
are you encouraging the second
Maybe
episode?
I am.
Yeah. I think you have to go past the first episode.
I'll put it this way.
Doesn't do it
Eileen didn't see me watch the first episode, saw me watch the second episode, and got totally sucked in. And then the first episode was an entirely different experience. for her.
So if she had seen the
Okay.
first episode, that might have been the beginning and the end of it for her.
Yeah.
huh?
I don't know. Marvel's Jessica Jones is coming to Netflix November 20th. An enigmatic teaser trailer is out. Don't forget Kirsten Ritter is Jessica Jones, Mike Kohler is Luke Cage, and David Tennant is the Purple Man.
Yeah, you also got the chick who played Trinity, right? Carrie Ann Moss is in this, I believe, as one
Oh,
of the minor
I didn't
characters.
know that.
Yeah, I might be wrong about that. I thought that's what I saw. Is that right, Bryce?
Say again?
Carrie Ann Moss from The Matrix, I think, is in there. I'm not sure.
It doesn't say in this article.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it must have been in some other article.
I don't know. If only we had an internet movie database where we could look up things like this.
I'll tell you what. I just feel like the only thing that can stop this is
She is. Yeah, she plays Harper.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was right. The only thing that could take this down is if there's a universal Marvel fatigue. If we're all just done being too many pieces of the big Marvel pie. But I don't see that happening.
That's a good question. Christy, do you feel like this is exempt from the Marvel fatigue? Because I don't think of Daredevil as part of the Marvel universe, even though it definitely is. I don't think, Avengers and Daredevil.
I feel like it's almost a different. I don't want to say alternate reality because that's incorrect, but it's almost like a different segment. It's like a grittier segment of Marvel. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well,
Kind of like
and that's,
it's running parallel to it or something, but it's still Marvel.
It reminds me, and it's been a while since I've thought about it, because I remember realizing that different comic books tend to hang out in different neighborhoods, and then there'd be a lot of crossover between Daredevil and Spider-Man, but virtually never would Spider-Man run into G.I. Joe, although ostensibly they're all in the same universe, because there was definitely a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover at one point.
Oh man, wait for that G.I. Joe Transformers Avengers movie that's coming out in 2025.
It's a licensing nightmare.
it's
Malengo,
coming.
what about you? Are you
No,
optimistic?
I
or no?
think I agree with Chrissy. Like, yeah, it's definitely in that weird, because like when Ant-Man came out, I wasn't sure if I wanted to see Ant-Man, but I was glad I saw it, and I brought up the same point. Like, sooner or later, people are just going to be fatigued. Like with the DC movies coming out, and you got Marvel. It's going to be overload, and unless you're a hardcore like comic book extraordinaire, like I don't know. So I like
wouldn't
the
be surprised
separation.
if, and this is one thing that I think they're doing very smartly with the Netflix properties, is they really are they're not entirely walling them off. They'll make a quick little nod. We said the word Thor, we said the word Iron Man, and we're done. And this is its own self-contained stories. And again, that's what
You see
comic
Avengers
books
headquarters in
tend
this
to do.
teaser trailer, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm
Steven
cautiously
Spielberg
optimistic.
thinks that comic book movies are like westerns and they will die, and soon they will become a minor genre.
I hate to agree, but I am feeling kind of the overwhelming, like, how many times can we see get the widget to save the universe, costumes, self-referential.
But they're also
wink
different.
and
The
nod.
characters are very different, though. I mean, you can talk about similarities and crossovers, and there is some of that. But if you pick them all apart, they all have different origin stories. They all have different powers. I see what you're saying, but I still think they do such a good job with making these really big cinematic, rich stories out of them that I think it's going to be a while before we get tired of them. Me, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we had Fantastic Four.
Well,
so-
yeah, we'll just ignore that one.
Well, and what's funny is I think that what they were trying, or what the director was trying to do with Fantastic Four, I think there is an opening for it. I think, doing the fine, you want a comic book movie, but we'll do it not in the style of a comic book movie. We're going to tell a different kind of story. But he, unfortunately, according to his tweets, didn't get the opportunity. Josh Trank said that he didn't get the opportunity to tell that story.
One thing we're not going to get tired of is 80s sitcom-like revivals. And a trailer for Steven Soderbergh's next TV series, Red Oaks, is up. Comes to Amazon October 9th. And it's about being a young kid in the 80s.
Isn't that? I thought that's too late. I thought if you want to hit nostalgia, it has to be like 90s now.
No, man. The 80s, like the 80s thing.
It's
that's
for old
all.
folks.
This is like Wonder Years was in the 80s. Like 80s was all about 50s revival. Now we're doing the 80s childhood revival.
Huh. All right.
Anyone disagree?
Yeah, I'll check it out. I have
Square
to be
pegs.
disappointed first.
With Square Pegs reunion.
Yeah, I'm gonna just wait to see what everyone else says about it.
The Goldbergs is huge on TV,
Oh, okay,
and that's
yeah.
all 80s. The Americans is an 80s
yep,
flashback show. Like that seems to be the hotness right now.
Also, what's that programming one? The early
Halt and
80s?
Catch Fire.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
If you have something capable of displaying 4K video, you can watch space stuff soon on a new 4K NASA channel launching November 1st.
Watching 4K, it reminds me so much of the early days of HD. It reminds me of DVDs and Blu-rays.
But here's
and
the
stuff.
difference. May I tell you the difference?
Yeah,
Brian?
please.
The difference is back when NASA launched on HD, it was like, please DirecTV, will you carry it? No. What about you, cable company? Now it's, you're going to be able to watch it online. And you know what? We're going to try to get it other places, but wubba-dubba-dub-dub. You can watch it online.
Yeah. Tiny Rick. Right on. So let's talk about what we've been watching. Let's start with Malengo.
So thanks to you guys, I did finish up Rick and Morty, but I'm not caught up with the last episode, but I'm okay to be spoiled with that. I watched Mr. Robot, the finale. I thought that was interesting, and I'm pleasantly still confused and on the fence about what really is real or not. Got back into Doctor Who, which was interesting because it's on Netflix. And I also started watching Clone Wars again. I got to episode season 3 and fell off, but because of Rebels, I actually went back and I've been watching that. And
I've been
Narcos.
rewatching Clone Wars too, and it's not bad. It gets better the more you watch it, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
Christy, what about you? What have you been watching?
I actually went back and watched we were just talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I went back and watched the last couple episodes because it starts up again on Monday, so that'll be good. I finished watching Astronaut Wives Club. I don't know if anyone saw any of that at all, but it's based on the book and all about the astronauts and their wives, basically. ABC
form a
TV show.
club.
That was quite good.
Wait, so this is like historical fiction, kind of Mad Men style, or Mad
Yeah,
Men
exactly.
style?
Yeah, that's exactly it. But it was all about the astronaut scenario, about going out to the Cape and Cape Canaveral, and back when they were setting up the first missions, and the astronauts fighting to get the spots on the different missions, and how their wives coped with the whole thing. And yeah, it's good. It's a series, but it's only one season because they ran through everything that happened. So it's like meant to be one season. So that was good. Then I watched Inside Llewyn Davis, the movie. So that was great as well. I hadn't seen that yet. It's a good character study movie.
Excellent. I've been watching The Shield, obviously. We'll talk about that on Spoiler in Time. I watched the entire first week of Late Show with Colbert, with Stephen Colbert.
What was that like?
What I would do is I watched the premiere. We recorded it on TiVo, and I watched it on TiVo the next day because I was kind of tired. I'm an old man. I go to bed early. And then I was like, well, that was interesting. And then the next day I was like, I wonder if they have it online. And the next day they have it for free online with commercials. And I just kind of had it playing while I was doing other stuff. And I was like, oh, well, that was a really interesting interview. Well, I wonder what he's going to... And for some reason, I just like Stephen Colbert. I've always liked what he's done. And I was a huge Letterman fan. So I'm invested in the Late Show franchise. I watched the whole damn week online the next morning every time.
How has he managed the transition to being in, a structurally similar setup without being in character?
Yeah, I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole because I could talk all night about it. But honestly, I feel like he hasn't quite found his metaphor yet. Yeah. And I don't mean he has to become a fake conservative pundit or anything, but like he's doing interesting things. He's trying stuff. He's experimenting. I think he's trying to see what works, but enough of it works. And he does enough of his kind of political comedy that I really enjoyed it.
I watched the first three of that too. I thought that was good.
Say what again, Christy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I watched the first three episodes of Colbert, the new show. And I agree with you. I feel like I don't know if you remember when Conan O'Brien started, it like took him a while to find his footing.
Yeah.
And I think it's that kind of situation where he's got this immense talent and he's hilarious, but he is trying to fit into the place left open by David Letterman, which you can't fill, but he needs to figure out what to do with the space.
Right.
So,
He's
good,
following the time-honored tradition of a late-night format, but also trying to mess with it, but not messing with it too much yet. And I don't know. I still have hopes. I have great hopes that he's going to figure that out.
It's weird because Colbert Report was always so tight. It was a tight show that moved very, very quickly. And you can feel from what little I've seen, the bits I saw, like I watched the bit that you did with Paul Simon, and it felt like they were trying to, kind of stretch stuff out. More
that Paul Simon thing is so not representative.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll take a look at it.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not. Star Trek Voyager, like I said, the autoplay on Netflix sucked me in. And when I was sick, that was like, oh, this is great. I've already seen all these and I know like them. Boom, boom, boom. That show holds up pretty well.
Interesting.
20 years later.
Yeah. Wow. 20 years.
Yeah. 1995.
Wow. Red when she was
Yes,
skinny and svelte and on the other side of the galaxy.
And finally, the U.S. Open was on this weekend. My wife wanted to watch it. And of course, because we pay for ESPN, Sling TV, we were able to pop it on and watch. No problem.
That's awesome. So I watched The Shield, and for the first time, Tom, as I committed, I want to ride this last part of the roller coaster with you. For the first time, my finger just got a little itchy. Just kind of hovered over the next episode there until I
just take one more.
I mean, it's like I've already seen it. I'll just
you
watch
know
it
what's
again.
coming.
Yeah, it's really, really tightening up quick. We'll talk about the plot points. We watched Rick and Morty today. Last night, I got into your place just before midnight, and after being wired from travel, I was like, well, I'll watch an episode of BoJack Horseman and then go to bed. Smash cut to it's 3:30 in the morning, and I finished all of BoJack Horseman season 2.
Don't act like you don't know.
So we'll talk about that in spoiler time. Mr. Robot finale. For the record, you don't have to. I'm not spoiling anything when I say Mr. Robot is the best show that came out in years. I mean, it's certainly the best new show of 2015. Well, I guess it's up against Daredevil. I'm going to say it's every bit as good as Daredevil. And
I think it's better,
but for different. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because and I only say that because Daredevil is the best superhero show that I've seen.
Yeah,
Mr. Robot's the best show.
Yeah,
it's broader and richer.
I'm going to tell you this much: it's probably worth it. You can watch the first 4 episodes. I think they're still available commercial free on USA. But I'm going to tell you flat out, it's worth just buy the season on Amazon Prime. Totally worth it. If you disagree, then you can yell at me and I'll take it.
All right, Bryce, what have you been on the lookout for?
Hey, so I want to start this on the lookout with an on the update. Last episode, I mentioned Knights of Sidonia, and I accidentally mentioned that there's only 1 season, but there are 2. So thanks to everybody who reminded me about that. Also, a show we talked about a few months ago, The Hot Wives of Orlando, now has a new season as The Hot Wives of Las Vegas. It's a lot of new characters, a lot of guest celebrities, and it's really fun. It's more of...
Did any of the Hot Wives move?
Fei-Fei did. Fei-Fei moved over to Las Vegas because it had better ratings. The only Kristen Shaw didn't make it. So she's been replaced with one of the women from Children's Hospital. But they're all new personalities, and it's a really fun season.
This is, from the title, I immediately thought it was a reality show, but then you mentioned Kristen Shaw, which makes me think that this is a narrative fiction.
Right. No, we talked about this a few months ago. It's a parody.
It's a parody.
Oh,
it's
got
a
it.
parody
That's right. That's right. I do remember that
Documentary
now.
of The Real Housewives. In fact, episode 1 of this season has a really, really funny short cameo with Lisa Rinna, who is a real Beverly Hills Real Housewife.
She's a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, she makes
kind of like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Yeah. So this week on the lookout, I want to tell you guys about a new show that came out while we were on break, I believe, called Narcos. It follows an American DEA agent and Colombian drug kingpin Pablo Escobar. It starts off in the late 70s and moves into the 80s as his cocaine empire explodes. And it's, oh man, like I was watching this and I'm afraid to draw this comparison because it might be a little controversial. Hey, play. No. But it reminds me a lot of True Detective in that...
Season 1 or 2?
Season 1. season 1. In fact,
Stop
actually,
hating on season 2. It wasn't that bad.
it's actually funny because the title sequence is very reminiscent to the first season of True Detectives with all the imagery and the very soft guitar playing. But there's a lot of high action going on. There's a lot of hyper violence. There's some sexual stuff going on. So it's definitely a mature show. But I was watching the first 2 episodes, and I when they were done, I was kind of sad that they weren't a movie. So if that tells you anything about how gripping it is. And we actually got a little bit of a news break because it debuted over the break, and it's already been renewed for a 2nd season.
Awesome.
And it's really fantastic. And there was one thing I wanted to mention about it. Well, it's 10 1-hour episodes available on Netflix now. And it's really great. It's that's right. Okay, here's a criticism I have. Very short. I'm calling it Orange Chickenpox, named after Orange is the New Black, where the main character is not very interesting.
Oh, got it.
The American DEA agent is kind of like, I mean, he's probably
Piper syndrome.
Yeah.
He's probably based on a real guy, so I don't want to put too much at the real guy's feet, but Pablo Escobar is way more interesting. But thankfully, the first 2 episodes
That's like Marco Polo, right?
the first 2 episodes spend about 75-80% of the time with Pablo Escobar and in Colombia. So as much as that might be an issue, it's also remedied by just not dealing, it paces itself pretty well in that regard.
Holy cow. Breaking news. Mojam in the chat points out that the official Mr. Robot Twitter account, that's at whoismrrobot, follows the official Cordkillers account.
Ooh.
Dude, I love that.
That's nice. No, I don't. I mean, no disrespect to Mr. Robot. It's a little bit patting yourself on your back, though.
Yeah, no, it's totally. I'm patting us on the back. That's amazing.
Let's move on to dispatches from the front so we can read your emails where you pat us on the back. Blair in West Hollywood. Hey, Blair. She's right over there. I can see her from here. Says, with Hulu going commercial free, hey, Tom, take $4 of my dollars and spend that I spent on Cordkillers and get it. Okay, fine. I'll try it. Also, Sling TV giving me access to rugby, and my dad is waiting for Apple TV to have Sling on it so he can start watching tennis. He worked in TV for years and only does over-the-air for his TV viewing. Anyway, I'm so close to being totally cord-free, but I have horrible reception in West Hollywood. So I still have a TiVo with local cable channel service. We use the TiVo for recording live events like award shows. Is there a service out there that allows me to record and view those shows for later or live viewing? Or is it just a matter of time to wait for it to happen? Thanks in advance. Best answer I can give you legally is to either try a taller antenna, which you probably already did. West Hollywood actually does have pretty crappy reception. You can get PlayStation View on the PlayStation 4, which is not a cheap solution if you don't already have a PlayStation 4, but it does provide all the local channels but ABC. And then maybe you could get ABC 7 over the air by positioning the antenna in a particular way and use the TiVo for that, get rid of the cable service. But that's the best I could say.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean on you for that since you're the hardware guy. Instead, I'm gonna move on to Rob from Damascus, Maryland. Says he's ready to kill his cord. He loves Fios, but he's done giving that much money to Verizon every month. He says, I live with 2 teenagers who are mostly cord-free anyway, but I do have 3 televisions I need to drive over-the-air signals to. I know all about the Channel Master OTA for OTA DVR action, but I really need more the potential to run all 3 TVs simultaneously live for local sports ball. Is there a solution that only involves one antenna shared somehow? I'm in a remote suburb and need to get my antenna in the attic or on the roof and don't want to have to do it 3 times. Rob, here's the amazing thing. Welcome. Step into our time machine and take you back to the wonderful days of 1970s where, yes, there is a solution. You just put a rooftop antenna on and put up a splitter and run it to each of the televisions, right?
Yeah, for like $1.76, you can get a splitter. Then you got to run your cable, so it's not, that may be harder for some people than it is for others. But you run your cable to whatever TVs you want.
Right now, the solution you're showing on there, Bryce, is an HDMI splitter. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about his antenna signal.
Yeah.
So you would just
you're talking
get an
about
antenna
a coaxial splitter.
Yep.
You
would just run
even one of
coax
those
and
700
split it.
ohm things with the
Just
twin
like you were
leads.
stealing cable back in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do that. You can also do some sharing over things like what's that? What's the box that will record locally off an antenna and then
Sling?
share it around on Rokus and stuff.
Oh shoot, no, I forgot.
Simple TV.
Okay, yes.
There are lots of things like Simple TV. Look into that. There are lots of boxes like that you can attach to the antenna up on the roof, and then they send it over Wi-Fi. And as long as you have a Roku or something attached, you can even get it on your tablet. That might be another way to look at it.
Right on.
We got an email from Sean, who says, today marked week 1 of NCAA football. Over the last few years, conferences have created their own networks, SEC, Big Ten. These usually can be found on cable sports packages. With a lot of the networks, they aligned with ESPN. They require their own authentication. Sling to the rescue. I added the sports package to my Sling subscription today and was off to the gridiron. The authentication on the ESPN website is flawless. To activate the app on my Amazon Fire TV stick, I just had to enter a code on another connected device. He talks a lot about streaming issues, which can be due to a lot of things. But I would add to that, you can watch ESPN to a Roku or watch ESPN to an Apple TV and authenticate through Sling and watch all of the ESPN channels, even the ones you don't get in your Sling subscription, with your Sling authentication. So you might want to check that out.
Very cool. Andy Beach wrote in telling us that Amazon has acquired video technology company Elemental. He reminds us, in full disclosure, he was an employee there 6 years ago, but he tried to parse. Walk us through this, because I know you synthesized this down.
Well, yeah, Amazon has acquired a technology called Elemental. He used to work there. Companies like these three, are very much infrastructure companies. They feature the guts of the video workflow. So how the video actually makes it from the server to your screen. Think about one of Amazon's other big recent purchases, says Andy, Twitch. Twitch is the eyeballs. Elemental is the efficiency of delivery on that service and improved quality. Between just Amazon Instant Video and Twitch, there should be a pretty big value in having Elemental on board. Because you've got an Amazon Instant Video service, you got a Twitch video service, you've got Amazon S3 storage, you've got all kinds of cloud computing power. Now you've got the pipe that gets the video there well. Here's one last piece, and then I'll shut up, says Andy. Elemental has a lot of big broadcast companies, the Olympics, customers. The Olympics, BBC, ESPN, Disney, even Google and Microsoft use Elemental. Imagine how interesting license rights negotiations get when you're talking to the platform that delivers the content and the company encoding your content.
Yeah. Do you think that this has the potential to alter, part of the reason that we don't live stream on Twitch is, number one, we're not gaming related, so that we have the risk of them shutting us down.
Right.
But two, they shifted to a different distribution platform, so that there's like a 45-second delay between the chat
Which
and
is
what's
never
happening
mattered to
live.
me, really.
What's that?
I'll be honest, that doesn't.
That bothers the hell out of me.
I stream DTNS on YouTube.
I know
There's a
that,
delay
and that's fine. But but you are not nearly as interactive with chat as, for example, we are on Night Attack TV.
Okay.
Do you think that this? Just because you're a responsible journalist, unlike us. Do you think that this has the potential of this kind of back end to reduce that lag and maybe because we use Meta CDN for our live streaming service.
It's always lag with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No lag.
That is like in the middle of the priorities on this sort of thing.
I know.
And yes, it could. Like that's all I will say is, from what I understand of what Andy's saying, is that Elemental is the kind of company that does those sorts of things.
Right. Okay.
And
well.
if Twitch feels like that's important, which they don't, this company could help them fix that, but I bet they won't.
Interesting. I break my
Twitch
heart.
actually added talk shows just recently, so
Do they have
yeah.
to be about gaming, or they could just be about anything?
They have a gaming
it
talk
looks like
shows.
it's about anything.
I know that they had a gaming talk shows category for a long time, but I could imagine them opening it up to just general topics, right?
Yeah.
This is so weird. It's so don't get me started. At any rate, hey, where can we see more of Christy Cates?
Oh, ChristyCates.com. Also, I'm just Christy Cates on Twitter, and I'm actually working on a new show called Monday Music News. I think you guys heard about that today.
Awesome.
That
Yeah, it
looks
looked
like
good.
we're gonna
I got a chance to watch it. Like, good stuff,
Oh.
man. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. It looks like we're going to be running part of it on Diamond Club TV at some point, so that'll be really fun. Keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. And how about you, Malengo?
For right now, you can find me on Twitter at Rambling Mango. I'm working on a show that's actually, I hope they'll be launching in a couple weeks. And all my other time's been spent with this app that I'm trying to develop. But yeah, that's where you can find me for information on that.
Excellent, folks. Go follow both of these good people. Watch their shows. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And if you don't cut the cord, that's fine. We'll still tell you stuff.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you
to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
Unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
Let's go.
it's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.